From WDWNT, the worldwide leader in Disney Parks news, this is ParksCenter. Hello there, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of ParksCenter. Joining me, Ben, on tonight's show, we have Allison.
Hello, hello.
Ashley.
Hi.
Nathan.
Oh, Kungaloosh, everybody.
And Rob.
Howdy, folks.
Oh, no, Siva, come on. Someone's got to... There we go. Gosh, it ain't ParksCenter till we see Vaco. We got to get this right.
Catchphrases are important.
Indeed. Mm-hmm. Also important, having a functional Epcot, and we're not going to have a functional Future World for a while here. There are a lot of changes coming very soon to Epcot. We already have shown you this graphic, but we actually have some closing dates and some announcements of officially what's closing. So in September, we've got Character Spot, Club Cool, Starbucks. Let's see. We had a whole nother article come out. We've got Penn Central and Fountain of Nations closing. Mouse Gear is going to get remodeled heavily. Club Cool will eventually come back, or so we've been told. We don't quite know in what form or where yet. And the Electric Umbrella is going to be closing for remodeling, but will also be back after all of this is said and done. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's a culmination of a lot of things that we've been talking about for a while, and this is the first time we have some actual official sort of news about it and of like dates. And I don't think I'm going to miss anything besides Fountain of Nations. And the thing is they're going to be doing another sort of fountain thing according to concept art farther down the line anyway. So I guess I'm going to miss the Rocketeer theme playing in Future World. With Fountain of Nations, that'll probably be the thing I missed the most out of all of this. Especially because Club Cool's not gone, so I'll still get my Beverly.
I'm going to agree with Nathan that there's not much left, or there's not much to miss here, but there's not much left either. I think that over time, it slowly made this something that we don't care about anymore. If you think back to the original Interventions, or even before that, Communicore, there was a lot going on. Now they've been closed down in their character spots, and there's really not much left. So they've weaned us off of this over time. So now I'm to the point where I'm ready for it to go. I'm just curious to see how the flow is going to be in and out of the park, because they're talking about basically the entire front of the park. All the announcements they made about where, all the Leave a Legacy and how all that area is going to change, and doing all this at once seems kind of crazy. But I mean, I don't think I'm going to miss much of anything except for, like Nathan said, the Fountain of Nations. I really feel like that's a mistake that they're taking that out, because it had a lot of meaning and a symbolism, and you get in there and you see it, and all these nations dump the water in there, and it's really cool.
That's my issue too. Actually, if you watch the show with any regularity, you know that I don't buy merchandise and I don't have memorabilia of any kind. But in my office, I have two things, and they're photos of nations and a photo of the Fountain by the Imagination Pavilion of the jumping water, because I've always loved that. So those actually the only two Disney things I own and I care about, and one of them is Fountain of Nations. That said, if you look at the concept art from April that is on our website, it seems like they're going to be having another water feature that may be even larger and maybe even more, more amazing, and that's fine with me. I can look at the photos and have nostalgia for Fountain of Nations, but it is something that I love dearly. It's just really hard to tell from this photo here that Ben has so conveniently put up for us exactly what's going to be there, because they just seem to have overexposed the area with light. So they
really did in that, didn't they?
What it's going to be, but it does look like they know it's going to be a feature, and that's what's really important to me.
Yeah, and let's not forget that concept art. If you go back to that concept art, also shows the Universe of Energy building with no big box behind it. So concept art is whatever concept art is. We'll see what happens.
Subject to change.
Yeah.
And I do believe we have found out at this point that concept art is out of date, but it's still like a decent reference frame for the look that we're going to get. So
We're bound to get some fountain, even with budget cuts
I would hope
along
so.
the way. Yeah. They just got to take some water from this one because it still has all the nation water in it and just dump it in the other one.
I hope they do that.
How does that work with evaporation?
It's
Are we
fine.
sure it's still?
Fine.
It's symbolic.
It's symbolic. Symbolism
There you
doesn't
go.
evaporate.
True.
All right, moving to the back half of Epcot and also over to Coronado Springs. 2 new restaurants have opened up, and we have reviews up on our website. Takumi Tei, as a signature restaurant in Japan, is Disney's most overpriced, despite some very good service. This is their tasting menu is $130, and they have a very upscale dress code. So watch out for that if you're planning on trying it out. But I think what we're going to take a little bit of a deeper dive into here is Toledo. Because Nathan, take it away here. You actually have eaten here at this point, haven't you?
Yeah, I was there last night when we ate, and it was an interesting experience. We kind of called it bland, bad, and poor. I think that might be slightly harsh. I think people will enjoy it, but I don't think it's that astonishing. A lot of us that went and did the review also went to Haleo at Disney Springs, which is also tapas, and that experience was far better food-wise. So this building is gorgeous. The whole tower is really, really pretty. It's very beautiful. A lot of it is themed on the short film with that Salvador Dali and Walt Disney worked on, but never finished, and then they finished, I believe, in 2014, I think. So there's all these really cool elements of that, and it's really pretty. That said, there's still some growing pains. They kind of shoved us into a conference room to feed us because we were a table of 8, and also I think they knew who we were, and they didn't want us to like say things out loud. I don't know. No, they were very nice, but there was some outlets not covered yet, and there's already like clearly some fixes that they were rushing because they had to open, and so there's some growing pains. I hope the menu is also experiencing some growing pains. It was interesting somewhat. I would say the more conventional items, you sort of, even when you get a conventional item like a steak or something, you kind of hope that it's unique in some sort of way, and some of it was very conventional. Like we called one of the steaks, I can't remember which one, we used the phrase Cracker Barrel several times. Yeah, so, but I would say the tapas were the best. The desserts were really good. I enjoyed both my drinks. The second one even more than the first, for obvious reasons. No, and it was an interesting experience. I think that if you're going for aesthetics and the most amazing, gorgeous view, you can from that tower see every theme park. From the bar, from Dahlia Lounge, which is right outside of Toledo, you can see. I know we keep talking about
I'm sorry, I'm just dying. The caption here, if you can't read it, is bloggers reviewing food circa 2019 colorized.
It was something. But it's a very pretty view, and if you think that's something you're really interested in, it's worth the experience. You could see the fireworks, not super close, but you could see the fireworks from Epcot and from Magic Kingdom.
At the very least, it seems like a great place to go and get drinks at the end of the night.
Absolutely, I love the
view,
bar.
and then if the drinks are outstanding, and then you can even get snacks if they'll serve them at the bar. That sounds great.
They do. They serve some snacks.
I do want to also mention that Takumi Tei, I know that the review is like $130 really overpriced, but I just want to go on record saying that $130 for a tasting menu with excellent service is actually not bad to me, even for non-theme park prices. But once again, if you watch this show with any regularity, you know I like frou-frou food, so take that with a grain of what it's worth. But just want to say that.
Frou-frou food, I love it.
She can taste the money.
Is that why people eat gold? That makes sense now.
Yep.
Well, speaking of gold, let's move to silver, which got a bit of an upgrade. Hey! Wow, I wish I had that planned.
That's a double, maybe a triple.
We did. Oh, baby, a triple. All right. Monorail Silver got a bit of a new look, which was not something we were expecting. New paint on the exterior.
New monorails.
Yeah, about that.
That's why.
Like, look at the they put effort into this. This looks
They
nice.
honestly actually does. My only hope is that they actually are fixing the mechanical issues also. Which I would have to imagine if they're putting this much effort into fixing the interior that they are working on those. But I just sincerely hope that we don't have any more falling pieces and non-closing doors and non-opening doors.
Yeah, I
Well,
think this probably fixes the falling pieces, but doesn't fix the functionality of the engine and all the other things that are probably going to die from planned obsolescence. But in the meantime, when you're walking to the new Starbucks in Epcot, you don't have to worry about a piece of the monorail falling on your head.
I guess I hope this gray one's nice, but it's also gray. Like if the idea is the inside aesthetics match the color scheme, I'm excited for red. Like I'm excited to see what it looks like.
Oh yeah.
When if that's what they're gonna do. Gray is just like gray. Like it feels conventional. If all of them are like gray or silver,
Sir, that's
yeah, I mean.
silver.
Yeah, excuse me. I need to know my Crayolas better. But if they're all more, because they all had the same general theming. So if this is the time where they're like, nope, each one's going to have their own sort of actual color scheme, like awesome. But we'll see if that happens. We'll see.
I
Yeah,
think that it will.
I hope so.
As long as it's not a Band-Aid, though. I mean, that's the thing is that if
But it is.
just. I mean, okay. So let me just put it this way: as long as it's not a long-term Band-Aid, like if it's a short-term, let's fix them up because we've got some more on the way. That's great. But if it's
but they don't have more on the way.
I know, but there needs to be.
We know
they
they
need
don't.
to fix that. We know that.
They do. I think this is going to be a long-term Band-Aid. Well, they haven't announced. Nothing in any of the financials has indicated any large monorail purchases. But
I thought that the reason the Main Street the Main Street Theater was canceled was because they were using the monorail using that money for monorail. That's not what you heard?
I think that was the initial plan, but I think it's been diverted because then we came out with the follow-up story that the order wasn't placed like we thought it was going to be. So I think this is going to be a long-term Band-Aid for better or worse. I think that's their plan. They're going to keep running them into the ground until they just stop.
Yeah, and you're seeing there's probably some theater money in this. That's probably what this is. It's a portion of a larger package that is spread out with Galaxy's Edge, and heck, there's a lot going on in Epcot, like we just talked about. So my guess is that got spread a little thin. And if it sounds like Runaway Railway's got some issues too, so maybe some of that money went over that way as well. They're having issues with a few things, so we'll see.
No, Ashley,
we need new
you said
ones, though.
something that made me feel a lot better because running them until they are run into the ground, because that is my plan with my 2006 Honda Civic, and that thing is still going. I am not buying a new car until that thing completely dies.
I can respect it. I've done that. We are doing that with my husband's car right now. That Explorer will keep going until it is on the side of the road.
Disney does with monorails what millennials do with cars. Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome to WDW and Tita's car talk. I love it.
Yeah. My brother.
Click and clack.
Yeah.
Don't drive this monorail like my brother. And don't drive this Skyliner like my brother either, because that's also something that you'll be able to do relatively soon. Select Disney Skyliner stations will be opening next month, just ahead of Galaxy's Edge. And by select, I mean everything except Epcot. Because apparently the Epcot line is having some delays. And also, probably more relevantly, the Epcot line is not important for Galaxy's Edge opening. So we're going to not
Food and Wine is opening.
Yeah, but that's not going to... That's not going to cause people to have fistfights in the park. It's not.
No.
They can also walk from Hollywood Studios over to Epcot.
Yeah.
And if they take the Skyliner over there, so it's less necessary.
Are we all at this point bored about the Skyliners? I'm bored. Like it's been such a trickle of information. Like, oh look, we see behind a thing. Like maybe it's red. Maybe that's a Pete or a Goofy. No, oh we see it now. Like and now they're moving, and now they're moving a little faster. And it's such a it's going to be cool, I guess, when it's like out and running, and I actually get to experience it. But at this point, I'm like, just put them out for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the
It's been
thing,
so
though, is
long.
that the only new information is going to be what is it like to ride in one? How long does
Yeah.
it take to get there? You know, what's the temperature like inside the cabin?
Yep.
What happens when it rains? All those things that we've been asking all along. I think that's really where the news is going to come, when we actually have somebody in one and riding one and telling us this was cool or this is awful. I don't know why they did this. I don't think it's going to be awful. I think it's going to be a lot better than we feared it would be at first, because this is not the first time a system like this has ever been put together. It's just the first time we've actually had one at Disney World. So, I mean, I'm pretty excited to do it. I think the rest of my family is like, I'll do it once and never again. My wife doesn't like the idea of what if it stops. She was really excited when I told her about the boat on the water to rescue people. You know, there are a lot of those things, but I think just the energy when those buckets are moving back and forth across across property, I was really thinking it was going to look like an eyesore, but I feel like it really brings a different kind of energy to the area when you see these things moving back and forth. So I'm excited about it, but I guess a little to your point, I'm so excited about it, I just want it to be here now. I mean, we talked about Star Wars Land ad nauseum the same way. I mean, you know, looking behind the curtain and, you know, all the videos and, you know, trying to guess what was going to happen. But I think the next big thing is let's get somebody on it and riding it and tell us how awesome it is.
Yeah.
I agree. Let's see if we can pick up some time here tonight. We usually go over. Let's see if we can go under for once. Moving from there over to Hollywood Studios. Since speaking of Star Wars Land a little bit, March of the First Order concluded July 6th at Hollywood Studios. It's over. There is no more marching. They are going to redeploy their troops to Galaxy's Edge when the land opens on August 29th. This is great.
The most exciting thing about this whole thing is their announcement, because I think the way they announced it is very cute.
Yeah.
But my whole feeling about the existence of this and about it ending can just be summed up with, so what? Who cares?
Yeah.
So what? Who cares?
My biggest complaint is I won't be able to tell the time with space Nazis anymore, because that was what I used to do. Like, oh, is it this much? It's been 3 stormtrooper marches at this point, so we've been here forever. The other show is still going on. When we were at Dahlia Lounge, you could see the smoke coming out of Hollywood Studios, and I was like, oh, okay, they're still doing the other Star Wars show. But yeah, March is closed. I won't miss it. I guess I don't know what they'll do with that Phasma costume. I'm guessing this is training. They need these costumes in there so they can start doing training for Galaxy's Edge and their little motifs and things that they do.
I'll believe
there,
that.
so I'm fine with it.
Yeah, you know what? There were a lot of temporary things that came out of the announcements of, hey, we're going to do all these overlays on Disneyland and Disney World to give you Star Wars Now. That was what Launch Bay was. That was what Season of the Force, Hyperspace Mountain, all those things. And so, like, for this one, I kind of dig it. Like, you guys are hating on it kind of hard. I kind of dig it. It looks like, as a Star Wars fan, it's cool for me to, like, see them coming down there. But I don't think I'm going to miss it at the same time. And I don't think it's necessary anymore. I think you're going to have a place for Star Wars now. So it seems like it would be time for it to go. But I would feel like if they were going to do something with the First Order to this level in a land, they would have already tried it out at Disneyland. Or maybe that's why it's leaving now, is they're going to take it to Disneyland and try it out beforehand. But I'm not sure there's really a place for it. So it'll be interesting.
I think they're just going to use the costumes. I think that they just need that space. They're like, why do we need to order, I don't even know how many there are in there, 12, 15? Why do we need to order 15 more stormtrooper outfits when we already got them, but we need to train with them? So I imagine that's the scenario that's going on. I think my issue with the march was always, it's sort of like, it's like if there was like a fascist march on Main Street. Like, it's the weirdest sort of like...
What is it?
Yeah.
Felt
Just a
so
strange
very out of
dichotomy.
place.
Yeah,
that was always the
if
weird
it was,
thing. Like, I didn't mind like a Star Wars cavalcade going down, but to have it be the First Order going down Hollywood Boulevard and everything, it just felt so odd. Yeah. Like, it would work
and they could have done
in
it.
Star Wars in Galaxy's Edge.
Oh, for sure,
right?
That it didn't work, and they just, and it was too free.
It was so
like I feel like the problem.
Watch people march around.
Yeah.
It
And
almost
get
seemed
out
like
of the
they were
way.
on a loop. Like,
Continue to march.
like once. Yeah, well, and it almost seemed like to be on a loop. Like one would start, and it's almost like they were just walking around the backstage and starting
Truly.
over.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
often as it happened. That was the other thing that I think burned people out. If you did
It's
it
like clear- it's-
2 or
yeah,
3
it's just
times a day
clearing-
instead of every hour.
Yeah, clearing that main
It's not even
thoroughfare
a
that
loop.
way.
Something has to happen for it to loop. It's not even a loop. It's just
Phasma
you
stops
go
and
up,
looks
foot
around
comes
and
down,
points.
knee comes up, foot comes down. It's over.
Yeah.
On repeat.
Oh man,
Goodness.
I have feelings about that one, Ben. I had feelings.
What did
Wow.
you in fact have an emotional whirlwind of feelings?
Yeah, maybe.
Ooh, no, Nathan, no. Don't.
I award all points, positive and negative, to Nathan for that transition.
It's a layup. A layup.
All right, so Emotional Whirlwind has opened in Pixar Pier, and yet again, I'm going to kind of just hand this off to somebody because Rob actually got to ride this, correct?
I did. We just got back from Disneyland. We went over the July 4th holiday weekend, and we waited in line, believe it or not, for 40 minutes for this attraction, which was about the standard
I'm
time because
sorry.
it opened up like 3 or 4 days before this. But I mean, you don't go all the way out to California and not ride a new attraction, no matter what it is. You know, it's a fun little ride, and it's got great theme. It's beautiful when you get up to it. It really is. And they've got some posters in the queue. You know, it's very well. My God, are you on? Okay.
I'm just trying to get in here to some
making
of
me
what you're
sick.
talking about, like these
Yeah.
posters. Like that's
Yeah, I mean, and the
Super
theming was
cute.
just, it was really neat, and they had, you know, the voices talking. It did put me out of it a little bit that it's not like Bill Hader doing Fear. I feel like they could have like had him come in and do that. But it's, you know, again, it's very well themed. We used to love going to Bugs Land, and when our kids got older, like the only one we would really still do was Flex Flyer. So, you know, it's nice. It's definitely not a 40-minute wait nice, and we certainly had to fight over whether we were going to get in the Rainbow Unicorn or the Bing Bong car before we got on. But it was, I mean, and it's neat, and you've got a good view when you're up there of the pier and some of the other stuff going on out on the pier. So it's fine. To me, the thing is that this is the final piece to finishing Pixar Pier. They have at the Blue Sky Cellar that they have there, where they usually show what's coming. They still have kind of a presentation of Pixar Pier and why they were doing it and what's there and the story behind it. And we sat there, and you know, my family is a Disney family, but they're not as into it as I am. So we all sat there and we watched the presentation. And when we went, they really kind of got into the whole Pixar Pier feel more because they had seen it. They didn't know about the neighborhoods and how it was broken up. So I think it was kind of neat to see this one finally open, and it was a nice attraction, but it's not anything really different than Flex Flyers was. It's just in a new place, and it's good to see, you know, Inside Out being represented there, because I do like that movie.
Yeah.
I think it's super cute for what it is. I think they did a really nice job with the theming, and I think they could have taken it to another level by doing a couple of simple things that I wish they did. And the first one is I wish they made the some of the balls like glowing orbs rather than just painted
Yeah.
Right,
outside.
doing something
Um,
like that.
And it's mentioned in the article, but also if they could move, especially as the ride gets around, it would be neat
Oh
to
yeah,
see
that'd
them
be sweet.
kind of like almost like just like in the movie. That would be neat. And the other thing is, then this reminds me of Toy Story Land in Hollywood Studios, but the little courtyard area where they have those really neat looking benches. They're almost like Noguchi Museum type benches. They're kind of artsy looking and they fit really well. It looks like they had this opportunity to put some shade there with the same kind of shape, and
What
they
do
just
you
did it
mean?
a la Toy Story Land.
A la Tron, a la a lot of things anymore.
Yeah.
That would have been great with some trees there. Like I keep staring at it. It's like it would be perfect.
Well, it
And
seems
they could
like
have used
something
the same shapes
that's
too as the benches.
Yeah.
Put them over, and it would have added another dimension to it.
Well, speaking of another dimension, let's talk about something that moves through the dimension of time, or I guess that's really the only dimension it's moving
it
through,
used to.
because Primeval World is still closed. Primeval World has been shut down since the morning of June 17th for unexpected and unscheduled maintenance, has not opened since, and we haven't gotten a clear statement as to why. This is concerning.
Well, and I like.
Hey guys, I can
actually
sum this up again
Oh,
in 4 words. I can sum this up again in 4 words, and then I'll
Do
hand it
it.
over to Nathan. So what? Who cares? So what? Who cares?
I guess I care a little bit. I like
care.
Primeval World. I think that if they were like, you know what, guys, it's not worth it. We're gonna tear it down. We're gonna tear down all of Hester's and Chester's. I'd be like, fine with that too.
Oh,
But
that's sad. It's cute.
you know, it is strange though when you're there, and it's not running like at all. It's quiet. That whole land is really quiet. There's a lot of dings and whistles and track noise and screaming that comes off that ride. The sound element in that Hester and Chester is just different. It's weird. It's really quiet. And I'm guessing it's just because it's a it's a was it mouse car? Is that what's the term for coasters?
Wild mouse.
It's
Wild mouse, yeah.
wild mouse. A wild mouse, and it's rather old, and it's not like they made it. It's not a system created by Disney to last 20 years, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like, it's
it's not a
not
system
been
created
tested.
by Disney at all.
Well, it's an. I
Correct.
was going to
That's
say,
my
isn't
point.
it more or less an off the shelf? And isn't
Yeah.
there another one that's the
It is,
same system that shut down somewhere else? Is that true? That I heard someone.
I don't know about that. I believe there's one that's a very similar, if not the same system in Six Flags America near DC.
California Adventure has exactly the
Does it?
same attraction. It's called Goofy Sky School. It's exactly the
Yeah.
same thing. And
Well,
it was Mohawk
yeah.
and Madness before that, and then they rethemed it to Goofy Sky School.
Wait,
and
does
quite
it
honestly,
spin?
but you think so, yeah.
I think
Okay.
But I mean,
so. I think
Because you're supposed to be
he's right.
flying as you go
Okay.
through like Goofy would, but I mean it's pretty much exactly the same ride. I just like the theming of the Goofy Sky School one better than this one. But I can imagine, like Nathan's talking about, that the sound, like those whirls and people screaming and having a good time, is probably missing there. But to his point, I'd really rather them put the long rumored excavator there and take this one out.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
I mean, I just think it's okay. It's one of those that we almost always skip, and if we do it, it's just because we haven't done it in a long time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But why is it
Yeah.
broken? That's really the question.
It really
Yeah.
is. at
I'd
this
like to
point.
have a.
Seems
I'd like
to
to have a
be a
last
conspiracy
ride. Let
theory.
me put it like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like a last ride. And
Buy a
and-
T-shirt, get a mug, same thing.
Oh, put up
Commemorative
ads in
ornament.
MCO. Well, speaking of MCO, if you want to be seeing the inside of MCO anytime soon, or any other Disney location, I highly recommend you folks check out our travel sponsor, Never Grow Up Vacations. They are the official travel partner of WDWNT. Never Grow Up Vacations is an authorized Disney vacation planner whose focus is in making magic for all of their clients. And with over 20 years of experience booking Disney vacations, we're sure they can help you make your next trip even more magical. So head on over to wdwnt.travel to contact them about your next trip today. Thank you, folks, for joining us. If you are not watching this live and you would like to, we stream this show every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can find us over at YouTube at youtube.com/WDWNT, where you can subscribe and ring that bell to get notified every time we go live. You can also find us over at the Ntunes at wdwntunes.com, where you can chat along with us and have a grand old time there. Be sure to tune in tomorrow night, if you are watching this live, for WDW News Tonight, also streaming at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So check that out if you have not yet. It is our 2-hour-long news and games and parties and fun times, and it's a grand old time. If you used to love the podcast and you haven't seen this, tune in. It's worth it. Again, that's WDW News Tonight, tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern. That is going to do it for tonight's show. We do normally have a post show for our WIGS members, but unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, we can't have one this week. But if you are interested in joining those post shows or the post shows for News Tonight, or getting any other awesome perks like that, or just want to give back to the shows you love, we highly recommend you head over to patreon.com/WDWNT. You can subscribe there to become one of our WIGS members, which is how we refer to our patrons. For as little as $2 a month, you can get access to all those benefits and give a little bit back to help keep the shows you love running. So thank you, folks who are already WIGS members, and thank you for those who are going to join. But, like I said, there's no post-show tonight, so that is going to do it for this week. We will see you all next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, bum, bum.